back in it. We back in it once again, time and time again. Is we live, we straight, everything Gucci popping. Yeah. So, welcome, welcome. We back again, once again, time and time again, my friends. And you know what we do over here? Just a little market breakdown. That's all we doing. Going into this Friday, something just nice and easy to see how the week ended and what possibilities there may come next week. So we're just going to do that. Make sure you are subscribed with the post notifications turned on, because I do these live streams every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just a quick market breakdown, the direction of where I think the market is headed. So yeah, let's get right into it. What we do over here is we'll hop into XAU USD from the monthly time frame. And on the monthly, been speaking about it, this level here, previous structure support, not only once, twice, thrice, a fourth time, broken and closed below, acted as resistance and looking for a continuation to the downside. And that is from the monthly time frame. If we drop to the weekly, we can see that we've had a push into this area and a rejection very aggressively, encompassing to these last two bullish candles, where we could see this makeshift right in here, what I've been talking about, left shoulder head or right shoulder, use this area as a resistance area for the market to continue to the downside. So that is on the weekly. And if we do drop to the daily time frame, we can see we did come into previous structure support that should act as support once again until broken and closed below on this market. So you can see we are starting to get a bounce out of this, and it is starting to be a very aggressive bounce, and that's just from the daily time frame. So we have two pretty prime real estate areas that the market could come into, that we could see the continuation to the downside just for the trend continuation, and that's on XAU USD. If we drop to XAG USD from the monthly time frame, what can we identify is that we've been coming into this area that we've spoken about on the monthly time frame. Not too much is going to change. Previous structure resistance, now acting as support, just simply put over there. If we drop to the weekly time frame, we can see we are pretty much ranging in between these two areas, and a breakout to either side would dictate possible continuation to take advantage of. So nothing really too exciting on the weekly. If we drop to the daily time frame, we can see we had the impulse to the downside where we would like to see the market come into this area here, which did act as resistance once again. So we could have a situation where we have a left shoulder false breakout to the upside, acting as the head, and another resistance area acting as the right shoulder for a continuation to the downside, if possible. So if we do get the break below, or some start of indication, confluence that the market wants to go ahead and start the move to the downside, we could be looking for that. XPT USD monthly time frame, we've had previous structure, which we have a structure candle, which is one that is not related to the move, right in this area right in here. So that is some structure when it comes to getting retested in the market, and we are starting to get a break above that area. If we do start to get the close, which this is the monthly candle, it's not going to close as it is right now, just because we do still have 10 days before this candle will close. But if we drop to the weekly time frame, we can see we are starting to create and break structure to the upside. So we came down in here where we had a previous structure support, acted as support once again, made a move to the upside, created a higher high, higher low, and we're starting to create a higher high, and that's just on the weekly. So we could see continuation to the upside on this market. If we look at the daily time frame, you can see we did come into this area here, which was the previous structure that was broken to the upside, came back, retested that not only once but twice, and we are starting to make a move to the upside. If we do get an explosion, we could look for the retracement back down to this area for a continuation to the upside, just to be in trend with the market. So just going into this Friday, if the candles close exactly as they are, which they are likely to, these are some possible moves you could see next week and possibly take advantage of. If we look at US oil from the monthly time frame, spoke about it before. even highlighted it. Previous structure resistance, came back, retested, is now acting as support at some sort of fashion. Now it's not going to be perfect, but the market is starting to hold here and start to create some moves to the upside, and that is just on the monthly time frame. If we look at the weekly time frame, we did have an explosion out of this area, and then we came back, retested it, where we do have some makeshift left shoulder head, right shoulder here, where we don't want to see the right shoulder close below the left shoulder area, and that's just on the weekly time frame. So an inverted head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern. If we drop to the daily time frame, we can see we had a impulse to the upside, and we've came back to retest previous structure broken. So we broke structure here, came back, created some lower highs, lower lows, and we are starting to consolidate right at previous structure resistance that was broken to the upside, now acting as support. So from here, we could see the possible move to the upside for a continuation to the upside out of this area. Going down to the Forex market, Euro USD on the monthly time frame, you can see extremely bearish just from the monthly time frame, pushing to the downside. It would take a while on the monthly time frame for this to actually be bullish, because their structure is all the way up here and we would need to break that. But we are starting to reject some of these lows. Even though we are making moves to the downside, we're starting to find some support out of this area where we do get a double bottom right in this area. We found this area of support once, found it as support twice, and we are starting to make a move to the upside. But we do have previous structure right in this area on the weekly time frame. So if we look at the daily time frame, you can see that nothing really too exciting on this market. We're trapped in between some of these areas right in here, where it would take several levels of structure for this to break out to the upside for us to be bullish on this market, at least from a daily time frame perspective. But more than likely, just following the trend of the market and the overall bearishness of the market, we would need to see some break of lows. Hey, what up though, J Staff? Hey, here we go, let's get it. But no, we're looking for a move to the downside. Was out of this area, but we've came into previous structure resistance, acting as resistance once again, and that's just from the daily time frame. So nothing too exciting on Euro USD. I want to see some breakouts, so we could wait a few days before that happens, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. And if we do drop down to GBP USD from the monthly time frame, my man, you can see that we do have an extremely bearish market. So on the monthly time frame, we've just been pushing to the downside very aggressively. And if you see, we've been in this territory that is just, this is what we used to play in, and now we've broken and closed below that, coming back for a retest on the monthly time frame. We could expect some further continuation after the retracement ends. So on the weekly, we've just been creating structure, and we're starting to retest that structure as previous structure resistance, now acting as resistance once again. So we tested it up in here after we made a move up, move down, move up, move down, and we're starting to retest that area again. Could possibly create a double top and provide the move to the downside, which is highly likely considering that this pair is overall bearish. But if we look at the daily time frame, you would see that we would need to see some breaks of some daily structure in order to look for a continuation to the downside first, and as well there would need to be several levels of structure broken to the upside before we start to look for this move as being bullish. Drop down to AUD USD on the monthly time frame. What can we identify is that we've come into previous structure support down in here. We've not approached it yet, not tapped into that area, but if we look at the weekly time frame, we are pushing to the downside very aggressively. We started the retracement, as it looks like this weekly candle will close quite bullish. So it will almost match the previous bearish candle. If we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see we're starting to break above these levels right in here. We would still need to see this market break above some levels of structure before we start to see a move to the upside, where we would have, with our continuation and everything lining up, USD CAD very aggressively pushed to the upside on the monthly time frame. So just overall bullish on this pair. Even though we started the retracement, we could come down and retest some of these previous levels down in here, which would make sense. But if we drop to the weekly time frame, you can see we've created a double top in this area where we came up, found some resistance, came in, false breakout, and we are now pushing to the downside, where this candle will most likely close bearish. We could look for the move to the downside, which it may retest some of these areas, might not, but then that sets us up perfect for a M pattern, which we could see the momentum pushes to the upside for a continuation, since this is a overall bullish pair. And that's just on the weekly. If we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see we are starting to push. We would need to break some levels before we start to look for moves to the downside on this pair, because we are just very aggressively pushing to the upside. Just a level of consolidation. We could find some support down in this area that could trigger the move to the upside, possibly going into next week. NZD USD monthly time frame. On the monthly, came into this level, previous structure support, now acting as support once again, which you would expect a bounce out of that area. So on the monthly, we're pushing up just a bit. On the weekly, this candle is closing very aggressively to the upside, and if we do drop down to the daily time frame, you can see we're breaking some structures to the upside, which could possibly provide further continuations to the upside going into early next week. We do get some sort of retracement back down, and then in continuation we could have some sort of bow, bada bing. USD CHF monthly time frame pushing to the upside. You know, this is my favorite, my baby, just because it is explaining and showing this process, actually how this pattern plays out over a long-term time, which it did complete the move to the upside, creating a higher high. But simply overall, the most common pattern in the market is a move to the upside, a breaking structure, which this is the previous structure broken right in this area, a broke it to the upside, and then we came back, retested that area, and then from there we are creating a move to the upside for a higher high, which we did get. If we drop down to the weekly time frame, you can see that we did make a move to the upside, with this wick actually reaching and breaching above the highs, not closing, but we did breach the highs. So the pattern is completing, just creating a higher high. After we found some support in this area, we made a move to the upside, not only breaking these highs, but finding a higher high. And that is the most common pattern in the market. And if we look from the daily time frame off the weekly, because the weekly, the retracement looks like it wants to start to go ahead and complete this other pattern, which completes 80 to 90% of the time, which is just a move to the downside, move up, move down, move up. A W formation, come complete at the neckline, which does set you up in a good position to be in trend continuation. And then from the daily time frame, you can see we're starting to find that resistance and start the retracement on the daily time frame. After this move to the downside, we could expect an explosion to the upside, possibly. If it does continue to the downside, then it does set us up in a nice situation where we have here, here, here for further continuation after we have the most common pattern in the market. So a few ways to attack that pair, but we do expect to move to the upside in continuation, just to go ahead and continue the pattern and market structure. So the market makes higher highs and higher lows. So after the retracement, we expect to move to the upside to create another higher high. If we drop down to USD JPY, very aggressively pushing to the upside on the monthly time frame. If we drop down to the weekly, you can see we are starting the retracement after we've had these moves to the upside, which has just been really crazy, because these moves to the upside can only mean that the retracement is in order. We can't move in one direction forever. So if we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see that this big daily candle ending on the week will probably signify that there will be some further continuation to the downside, and then possibly some more moves to the upside in the future. So just that pretty much sums up the major pairs. We drop down and look at BTC USD on the monthly time frame, keeping it consistent. Previous structure resistance, structure support, finding support in this area. Even though we are retesting it multiple times, we're failing to break below it. Until we do, really you don't want to look for the move to the downside, but you would like to see moves to the upside to confirm some of your highs that you want to see expected out of this market. So really nothing too special on the weekly, just simply ranging. And if we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see we've come into this level of support multiple times: once, twice, thrice, fourth, fifth, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it's holding. So you don't really want to do anything while it's ranging in between this area. So wait till we get some sort of explosion to the upside or the downside, which 2024, when the next halving event is supposed to happen, you could probably see the moves to the upside is what I'm expecting, to go ahead and retest the highs, if not create new highs, which in 2024 that is possible. So I'll be trying to go, I'm cooking. Are there any other pairs? You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. Keep it short and sweet. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm answering questions at the end. Anything. Make sure you subscribe with the post notifications turned on, so you do get notified whenever I do go live, man. So that way you can hop in here, ask questions, get a little update, maybe get a little idea on where the market's going. If it matches your strategy, then possibly take advantage of it. You know what I mean? Then come kick it. You already know. And that's it. Link in the description if you want to go ahead and join the program, which will give you the full strategy to trade these directions that I'm calling out. So yeah, basically go ahead, check that out. It's worth your while. But until next time, we'll be back on Monday in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't forget that. Go ahead and tune in. I don't know. I kind of like doing a full market breakdown on Mondays and then just hitting them real quick Wednesday and Thursday. We'll see how that looks. So be ready for that. But yeah, other than that, I hope you had a profitable day on and off the charts. And until next time.